Hi everyone, today is the day for yet another story. I remember last time we left off on discussing how I finally moved to Canada for my school, which was in August 2007. Now, fast forward, I'm in 2008 summertime when I realized that I didn't just finish my master's, but I also got accepted to do my JD, which is Juris Doctor, which is that exact degree I was talking about before when I was saying that there is no shortcut to getting your proper law education and your license and actually becoming a real lawyer in a common law jurisdiction. So what I did, I got accepted to do a shorter program, which wasn't 3 years, it was actually 2 years because my master's LLM counted as my first year of law degree. Thus, fast forward 2010, I'm graduating from the University of Toronto Law School, which is officially called the Faculty of Law, with 2 degrees simultaneously, JD and LLM. Those beautiful pieces are hanging on the wall, just like this beautiful poster behind my back, but not at this very moment because I had to put all my degrees and diplomas in a box since we don't have enough wall space to hang all of those achievements of mine. But let's forget about that. Let's move on. While I was still doing my master's, I got through the process of recruitment and I got onto a summer program with one of the Bay Street firms. And Bay Street firms means you're pretty much at the top of the world as a legal practitioner and especially as a lawyer. So I got in as a summer law student. In my first year, I got an offer. The second year, I started that job. And when I graduated, after my third year, I got my proper licensing offer, which means a firm took me on Bay Street and trained me, and I got my license, and that process is called articling. In the meantime, while you're working and articling and getting trained and doing all the work and being paid, which is very nice, you're also writing your bar exams because that's what makes you a real lawyer. You have to pass the bar. That's the term, that's the expression. And once you pass the bar and once you fulfill all the practice obligations, you become a full-fledged, fully licensed common law lawyer in the province of Ontario, which is one of the common law jurisdictions in Canada. So in 2011, again, fast forward, September to be precise, I got my license. Yay, hooray. Now I am a double qualified lawyer. And where do I find myself? Well, I find myself in the street, okay? Here you go, guy. The real deal is here. The fact that you went to the top school, that you practiced at a top law firm, that you got licensed from the toughest bar or so-called toughest bar in the country doesn't mean at all that you won't end up in the street the way I did. I was literally in the street on Bay Street because that's where I lived at the time, that's where I worked at the time. But guess what? I lost my job. I didn't really lose it. I just didn't get another offer from that firm to continue move forward as an associate and just get on the partnership track because that's the way you usually do it. If you're lucky enough, if you're successful enough, if you're just the person enough for Bay Street partnership track. Apparently, I was not. So what ended up happening, I went to a boutique firm a few months later just to practice something much smaller and much simpler than doing partnership track on Bay Street. And then a couple of years later, I decided I need more education. So I went on to business school back at the same University of Toronto and did my MBA, which was a global MBA, which allowed me to travel the world, visit 4 out of 6 continents, countries I would never visit on my own, such as China, India, South Africa, and even Dubai. I don't think I would ever go in Dubai on my own, but I'm just saying. So after all that was over, I find myself again in the street. But the next thing I know, because you're already advanced in your legal or pretty much any other professional career, the recruiters find yourself. They started calling me. I started getting through those processes. And the next thing I know, I'm already an in-house corporate lawyer, which is called legal counsel. So I'm in-house legal counsel for another year or so. When I find myself, guess what? Back on Bay Street. Because all of a sudden, my firm, exactly the firm where I started my licensing process and became a lawyer in the first place, decided that it's time to do something new and innovative, as they call it on Bay Street, and organize a very interesting, a very mysterious, if I may call it, division. So that division decided to look for alumni, law firm alumni, which I just happened luckily be at the time. So they called me and I went through a couple of interviews and they put me on their list and I became, hello, again, the lawyer with one of the divisions of exactly the same firm I left almost 10 years ago. So now I find myself on that wonderful list of lawyers. I do very few projects with them because it's so competitive. They can't even, unfortunately, they can't even find projects to do for all the lawyers that I ended up hiring as a division. A lot of people left in the meantime. A lot of people switched. Others went back to in-house because that's where they were finding the alumni from. So what happened in the end today, I'm again in the street, but in a very different capacity, in a capacity of seasoned professional, someone who's in the middle of her legal career, which is almost 10 years in after getting your license. And the next thing, all of a sudden, I get another offer to join another huge company, which is a global company that does predominantly investigation, data protection, but most importantly, due diligences and document review, which has to do with all the data that lawyers need to proceed with their cases and their decision making. So what can I say? I'm back to square one, but it's a little bit different than the very first square one I started my career with back in Moscow. So I guess I'll leave you with this. Never assume that because you went to the top schools, you're going to end up at the very top. You will get there, but in a very different way, not necessarily in a straight line. It's more of a spiral based on my experience. So if you believe in the spiral, you'll be fine. If you don't, you'll have a lot of frustrations and problems. Enjoy. See you next time.